All right, folks, we're live. Good to see everyone today. Peter, Mary Catherine, great to see you.
Hey,
And
hey, here we go.
So Peter, get us started. What are we we're talking, I guess it's part 2 of creating the predictable stream of potential buyers. So where do we want to start?
Part 2. Well, first we'll start with there's not enough coffee in the world to get me started. but with that said, we're going to jump into, I'm going to do a quick review because I know, and then we'll get into a couple questions that Jim's going to put up. But I want to do a little bit of review because I know some of you guys, I don't care, if you have a podcast show or I have a radio show in the Pacific Northwest. Sometimes it's good to review and repeat because some of you guys are coming in midstream on this thing. I do, but I always pick a stat to start with, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about content strategy and demand generation, and we're going to talk about distribution strategy, like where in the heck should you put all your content. But I want to bring up one thing that's really important, guys, and that is this is a Gartner study, and I think you guys will know this to be true. And I am going to define once again what is the difference between lead gen and demand gen, because I talked to this last week. I probably talked to through direct messaging and LinkedIn and talking to people on Zoom, probably over 20 CEOs and founders like you. And these are things they're asking me because, one of the posts you saw, I said, don't fall into the panic pit of lead gen. If you've ever had your revenue dip and you're using lead gen, you get into panic mode real fast, or your salespeople do, right? But the one thing I want to point out this morning and talk about in relation to content and distribution strategy is Gartner did a study, and what they found, guys, is 84% of all potential buyers said they would purchase based on relationships, even if your competitor had a better price in sales terms. I want you to let that sink in. Because, guys, this goes back to the timeless thing of people do business with people they like, know, and trust. So it's not just about content that you're putting out there or where you're putting it. We're going to get into that today. It's equally as important that content, that tool, that medium, that's why we built Relatable. That's why I founded this company, is the tool set you use must help to engage and build relationships. One person, executive I was talking to this week, when I said to him, Relatable gives you the ability to allow your viewers in video to choose their own priority adventure. He said, that landed with me. Okay. So guys, that's really, we're going to get into that. Now let me go back and just review real quick. Lead gen, demand gen. So what the heck's the difference, right? We have all kinds of statistics and everything, but it boils down to these two simple sentences. Lead gen is where you're collecting leads to invite that potential buyer into your sales process to try to persuade them to buy. And typically in the market, there's only 5% that are ready to go. Okay. And some of those are opportunity seekers. They're not a really good, high quality, they may be an email, but they're not a lead. Okay. So that's lead gen. Demand gen is totally different. It is your potential buyer is inviting you into their buying process. Okay. And they're ready to buy. And that covers the 5% and it covers the 95%. So in one of the things we're going to do in our next 2 weeks from now, and we'll get into that later on, is we are going to cover, well, you can't just flip the switch on lead gen. Okay. As much as we'd like to do that, demand gen takes several months, 6 months to a year. So Mary and Jim and I are going to talk, how do you use the best parts of lead gen with demand gen while you're making this transition. Because it's just for us to talk about demand gen and go, hey, ditch lead gen, that would be devastating to your business. And that is irresponsible of me to tell you to do that. So we're going to talk about how do you transition over time, because we're doing the same thing. Okay. So those are the big things. But, you know, here's the thing. The other thing I will say, and this was in the very first one that we did, guys, and that is, if I ask you right now, how do you buy? I'm not talking about candy bars or a pack of gum. If you're buying anything like our software or any product, what do you do first? You research. We all do the same thing. Yet lead gen does not support that at all. Demand gen does. Okay. So all we're saying here is you need to match the way your potential buyers are buying right now. And guess what? They're buying just the way you're buying. We're all in this together on the same boat. So that's the introduction. I think right now probably be a good idea. Maybe Jim and Mary, do you think it'd be good just to ask some questions? I don't know who's out there live, and
yeah, we've got Jason. Jason's out here live. Great to see Jason, and you know, happy to see him here. And Jason just recently became a part of our affiliate program because he sees the value in this, and he's, you know, promoting his course and getting people to learn about it through that. So I think that's great to see you here, Jason. And let us know if you got any questions, Jason.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, Peter, you did a great explanation of lead gen versus demand gen. And I'll tell you, sorry about the sun coming through there.
Angel Mary, she's
I'm
back.
an angel. I'm just, I'm light is shining down on me. But it really is your intent. That's really the only thing between lead gen and demand gen. It is the intent. Is the intent to sell people and capture them and convince them that your stuff is great, or is your intent to provide all the information possible in all the places possible for potential buyers to make their own decision and invite you in to their buying process? It really is intent. And difference between the two is that, but how do you switch? And I know we're going to talk about that next week. And it's not as difficult as some people might think, because many of the same tools or frameworks that you might use in a lead gen capacity, you can adapt them to a demand gen framework. But yeah, my question would be, I would like to ask people, what are you currently doing with lead generation that you, in terms of content and posting, that you want to know how to switch to demand generation content and posting? Yeah. That's the only question I would ask right now.
That's a great question. And we can use that to answer those partially this week, but next time, in the next 2 weeks. One other thing I want to add before we jump into content strategy and distribution strategy is one of the misnomers, even for the people in demand generation, at least I think this way, is demand generation is not just about, so we talked about demand generation, the kind of the three biggies in content and distribution. It's awareness, consideration, to develop curiosity, as Mary puts it, and then the decision making. But in my mind, demand generation goes beyond that. You have to match demand generation with your entire customer's journey. So demand generation is also part of your onboarding. Demand generation is also part of the lifetime value of your customer. Now, that can take many forms. And we're going to talk about this in future live digitals, which is a lot of businesses, and I belong to a couple, are jumping into creating communities to create that renewal aspect. Okay. If you do that, and we're going to do that, you get into a whole can of worms there, because there's millions of these communities now. So how is yours different? How do you stand out? How do you keep it sticky? Most importantly, how in the heck are you providing value? Because that's what I'm seeing in a lot of these communities. They're not providing value. They're just, using school or using Circle or whatever. And the communities are crappy because the founder is not involved. They're not getting stickiness. People who are customers, they're not getting them to engage. So again, we're learning as we go too. I don't think anybody, I mean, I belong to a couple of communities I think are pretty good, and they're still trying to figure it out. No one really has the crystal ball on communities, in my opinion. There's a whole, what is it? Not degree, but a whole category classification of people who work, they're community managers. They probably know a lot more than me about it, but still, it's still that holy grail, right? As we go forward. But the point I want to make is demand generation goes through the entire cycle. Okay. So we're kind of going down through it here with our live digital series. And the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to be going on live once a week here coming up, just myself, and talking about some of these things, about what we're doing as our big experiment here. Things we're doing well, things we're failing at, things we're not, not failing, but pivoting, that we have to go, hey, okay, we tried that didn't work, right? But that's part of being innovative with an eye on and a focus on your customer base. So
yeah, I love Dr. Sarah's comment here. It's like they don't even consider what the purpose and need of it is, social or learning support. And I think sometimes, and maybe this is where communities run into trouble, is you almost feel like sometimes it's just a way for the community owner to promote themselves and their stuff. I don't know.
Well, or what the community's trying to do. And, I talked to Nat Berman about this. Who's up on LinkedIn. You guys should connect with him. He's a cool guy. I'm in his community. He'll come out and say the reason why a lot of people go into communities is because it makes them money. Mm-hmm. But that goes back to what we've always said. Mary and I have talked about this a ton. Do you look at your customers as wallets, or do you look at your customers as people that you want to build relationships with? And we're in the latter camp. Okay. Jason put a good comment up here too. I see about the founder not being involved. Jason, I'm 100% with you. That's why I'm here. That's why you see me posting. Guys, if for all of you that have that are watching this now live or watching in replay, and again, I'm not promoting this because I get any money from it. I'm just promoting it. I've given it to Mary and given it to Jim. There's a book called Snow Leopard, and it's by Christopher Lochhead, and I can't remember the other author, but we know Christopher. Mary knows him pretty well, and he wrote Play Bigger. But Snow Leopard is, how do you become a category of one with your content? And that's part of being different. And Mary can, if you guys want to talk to Mary, she can tell you all about category design, which we use in my company and iProlio. But the whole idea of this category of one is, I will never give up producing my content because I represent what we stand for. Yes, we have some brilliant people here. We all have our oars in the water, but at the end of the day, you cannot outsource the content, because if I do that, it's not me. So we all are producing content, but I feel very strongly as the founder of the company that I need to be out there with the message, because guys, at the end of the day, for people that don't know me, I really, the only things that get me really excited these days at my age is the ability to have the opportunity to create a movement, not just a piece of software that makes money. So Relatable is about changing perspectives to create interactive video relationships, to create a movement towards that, away from this lead gen garbage that's going on and the attention economy and all the noise and all the status quo and how to do this on LinkedIn. And I made this amount of money. It's like the bragging and all the other BS that goes on out there. Or, hey, give me your email or your phone number, and now I'm going to pound the hell out of you with emails and with phone calls from my salespeople. We don't want to give it up at that time because we know what's going to happen, right? So this is why we're talking about demand gen. This is why we're saying, look, you have to develop relationships and build trust. And this is why I created Relatable, because I wanted to give you guys a framework to think about this, most importantly, and one tool that could do this for you. And I always say it's like having a coffee chat with 100,000 people at a time. And there is nothing nothing besides video. You know, I'll tell you a story, guys, real quick. So we're coming out with some really cool stuff in re-engagement for you. We're going to give you the ability to set and forget with reminders for a business. So, for example, if you're an HVAC company, you can set up, you know, everybody needs to get their furnace serviced in the fall and their AC serviced in the spring. So you can set this up as this is in now, not potential buyer. This is your customer loyalty. We're making it easy. So one of my developers said, well, yeah, but why don't we just do a text and a link and an email on a link? And I said, well, here's why. I said, think about it this way. You and I have been together for 5 years. If all I did was email you or Slack you, what kind of relationship would we have? And he sat back in his chair and he went, oh, I get it. Right. So, you know, but this is the kind of stuff, you know, it's the dawning, you know, of like, it makes total sense because this is how we are as human beings. That's why, you know, we've always said, guys, you do a funnel, it's a one-way experience. You do interactive video software out there that's not even really our competitors. It's a one-way experience. It's like going out with your significant other on a first date before you even know them and getting down at the end of the day on your knee and go, hey, you want to get married? Mm-hmm. We don't do that as people. Okay. So this is kind of our introduction. Any other comments or questions? And we're going to move into.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing to that. I love what you were saying about the fact that you're the founder. You are posting your own content. I'm posting content from my voice for relatable about what I believe in. Jim's doing the same. And I love that Dr. Sarah is going to jump in this weekend and start creating some of this, because this is kind of an intersection between being an entrepreneur, a small business owner, a CEO, whatever your role is in your particular business, and a personal brand or influencer. You can actually bring that into your business. And if you don't, people don't build relationships with your brand or your business logo. They build them with the people. Yeah. So that's the beauty of us. You see Peter's personality is different from mine and speaking. And if you don't like watching someone speak with moving their hands and you're distracted, okay, I get it. I'll try and hold my hands down, but you see the difference. There's different personalities, but we're all talking about the same thing from our voice. And the more people you have in your organization doing that, the more your potential buyers will be able to have a relationship or start building a relationship with your company, with your business and the people that help it run. So it's kind of a intersection, right, between category and actual personal brand or influence. And you get the chance to do that because you're building the relationships.
Yeah, it really is. The other thing, Mary, and I mentioned this last week when we were talking, is for all you people out there, personal brand is powerful. There's, nothing wrong with it. I'm not against it, but be careful, because if you build your whole business on personal brand, you have no valuation. And I'm in the business to have a valuation. So whatever you do, there should be some substance behind personal brand. If you look at a lot of these content creators, they yak all the time about personal brand. But at the end of the day, can they ever sell their business? No, it dies with them. They have no business. They have a business, but I call it a lifestyle business. They have a lifestyle business, not a traditional business where you have valuation and can sell it. So if you want a lifestyle business, I'm not knocking you for that. Just know that when you're done, it's done. That's all. So, all right. Let's get into content strategy. We're going to talk about this. So content, guys, really is, you have a demand gen engine, and the content is your fuel that you feed the engine. And the content has to be personal and relevant. So we're going to talk about both of those. Personal means like what I said. And, I love talking, Dr. Sarah, thanks for being here. Jason, thanks for being here. And everybody I get to talk to. And I love it as the founder because it gives me a unique perspective on what others think, not what I think, which is way more important to me. And so this personal thing that hit home to me today too, this week, because I was talking to a CIO and he goes, future-proof. He goes, I don't really get that. But he said, when you said, choose your own adventure, based on your priority set, he goes, that lands home with me. He goes, I get it. And now I understand what future proof is. So I was telling Mary and Jim before we jumped in, we were off air. I said, now I've got another fun problem to solve. How do I help people understand what future proof your business means right when they're looking at it within the first 2 seconds? Okay. So that's my challenge. I got to figure that out. Right. But the content, really, your content strategy is your map for your future direction. It's really about, it's got to speak to your point of view. And we talked about unique point of view. And by the way, Jim, just this is probably a good time. We talked about that in a previous live. And where can they go find those?
Oh, yeah. So that they can find our previous lives on our YouTube channel. If they're following me on LinkedIn, they can find them there. But really, the easiest way is our YouTube channel. And I'm going to share it here on the bottom. You just go to search it, Be Relatable Pro. We're actually live on YouTube right now as well, if people want to jump over there.
Okay. So I'm not going to go into all that because we're going to go through content distribution strategy, but how you set up your unique point of view, what you stand for, what you stand against. We talked all about that in a previous live. So please go watch that. It'll give you all of the mind map that you need to pull that off. The other thing is to change perspectives. Okay. So especially when you're creating a new category that's different, you have to, and again, guys, if you're, I don't know, maybe I'm going to overstep my skis here, but I don't really think if you're going to be in business, you shouldn't be in business just to build a better mousetrap. Because it's like, what's the point? There's so much of that crap out there. Do something different, right? Create a movement. In fact, that's one thing I want to bring up. If you guys have never watched on YouTube Dancing Guy, Dr. Sarah and Jason, you guys are Dancing Guy. You are the first part of the movement. And all the other people who are watching this, you're also Dancing Guys. So go watch Dancing Guy. It'll give you a good pictorial of what I'm talking about is how does a movement start, okay? It starts with the first few key individuals, and then it starts catching on, and then it starts going, and you get the momentum. So watch Dancing Guy on YouTube. It's pretty good. Okay, so change of perspective is you have to take them from where they're at in context to get them to think about the problem that they have differently. And the solution is whatever your solution is, right? The other piece of this that we talked about, and again, like Jim said, go to our YouTube, we talked about you really kind of have to know who in the heck should I be talking to? Who's my ideal customer profile? Now, customer profile is that type of company, the size and things like that. Within that customer profile, you have personas. Who are the decision makers? Now, for us, sometimes a lot of it is they're the founders, they're the CEOs. If you do a lot, enterprise or corporate level, they may be the VP of sales, the VP of marketing. They're not necessarily the CEO or founder, right? So you just got to know who am I speaking to here? Like example I gave to you, I think it was 2 weeks ago. We're going after HVAC founders that make $500,000 or more a year. There's 48,000 of them in the United States of America. Our platform is exactly a great fit for them for what they need with the reminder, set, and forget. So that's one of our ICPs, just to give you an example of what goes on there. Okay. Now, your content strategy, just so we're clear, because we're talking about demand gen, not lead gen. It's not about phone calls. Cold phone calls, that is not what I'm talking about. It's not about direct mail. It's not about email marketing. It's not about outbound advertising. It's about matching what your buyers are going through, which they're going through a mental process of research. Okay. So the thing about it is we have, can you show that, Jim, show that Gartner graph here, please? Okay. So this one here is from Gartner, top 5 types of content buyers use to make software purchase. So this is for us in software, but it does relate to all of you in different businesses. Whether you're a course creator in sales, doesn't matter, right? People do look at customers' reviews and ratings. Although my opinion on it is this: while they will do that, they will make a decision based on actually experiencing you and your product. I don't care how many great customer reviews and ratings we have in Relatable down the road. When you come in and you try Relatable like Jason did, and you build something that quickly and get from point A to point B, that trumps customer reviews and ratings every single time, in my opinion. I don't know, Jason, you let me know if you agree or disagree with that, but that's the way I see it. Okay. But guys, what I want to point out, you see that second one up there? And this is true. This is not software. This is for everybody. Personalized product demonstration. Now, okay, think about this. Demand gen, this is not, I do a call with a salesperson. Because remember what we said 2 weeks ago, or even before that, Gartner has shown 72% of all potential buyers in B2B and B2C, they want a seller-free experience. That means they never want to talk to a salesperson. And this is even for people in enterprise level sales. Okay. So this is the kind of thing of you got to create a personalized product demonstration, like a virtual demo. This is where Relatable becomes really powerful, because you can do that in an interactive experience that engages while you're collecting data and all that kind of stuff, right? So you can see it's number 2. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up, that this is why this is powerful. So remember, demand gen is about content strategy while building a relationship. Okay. Now, Mary, the third thing that I want to bring up here, and I want Mary to talk about this because she's really good at this as a partner program manager, is when you are doing your content strategy, your buyer goes through one hell of a lot of touch points. And we call these, or Mary calls them, micro commitments. So Mary, could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. You shared with me, Peter, a statistic. I think it was 66 touch points that Gartner did a study, how many times it takes for potential buyers to see your stuff, to interact with your stuff, to do their investigative research about your products and services. 66 times they touch your content. They touch what you put out in this digital footprint. And out of those times, if you just post something on LinkedIn and think, there we go, it's just a post, that's one touch. What I've always done with these adventures, these choose your own adventures, is every single time a potential buyer touches, clicks, taps, that's a micro commitment to learn more, to be demand curious or considering. And so when you put those engagements, not just the calls to action, right? We know calls to action are the major things, get on my calendar, buy my thing, go to my landing page, watch my webinar, right? Those are big commitments because we have to exchange something for them, an email or a phone number usually, an opt-in. But every time they engage with your content, that's a micro commitment to learn more. And so one of the beautiful things about this interactive video is you can turn that one post into multiple micro commitments to help people actually engage with your content beyond just reading the text. So I do this quite often. I'll put a text post up on LinkedIn, and it's the exact same text as I use as a script in a video. And I have that same content, especially if the script or the text post was well received. I put that in a video and I add interactions and ask questions along the way with that content. And now I can turn that one post, or actually 2 posts now, but the video portion of that post, I can turn it into 3 micro commitments. Because if the people who choose to take the adventure, not everybody does, obviously, and not everybody finishes a text post or watches it or reads it, but the people who do get a little bit deeper into understanding what I'm saying and building a relationship with me.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. That's what a micro commitment is. Any kind of, and now we're doing it, everyone's on mobile. So now we're doing it actually touching with our fingers to actually participate in the adventure with someone. So it's a very powerful thing. And put it into your content.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it in Relatable. Action items are called touchables for that very reason.
Yep.
So just thank you, Mary. That was perfect. The thing is, guys, if you look at micro commitments, you have informational touch points. These are like how-to posts, things like that. You have relationship touch points. That's another category. And Relatable does very good in building those relationship touch points. you also have what I call relatable touch points, which is, we do Transparency Thursdays. We talk about, things behind the scenes sometimes, change of perspectives. These are, I may have been thinking about doing a whole series of like, can you relate? Well, I did one today about our dog Hurley that passed away. And, in there, I talked about 90% of sales is just showing up. Because damn, that dog used to always show up at the dinner table. He was ready to go. And he was friendly because he wanted something to eat. So you learn a lot from, your pets. But that's a relatable touch point. Okay. So those things are very, very important. Now, in your content strategy, there's pillar pieces of content and there's consumable pieces of content. So what pillar pieces are, these are pieces that they're evergreen. They are out there, and yes, you should look at them and update them, because the other piece about personal and relevant is it speaks to that particular person in a way they go, wow, they're like inside my head. Right? That's good, relevant content. But relevant also means it's current. Because think about it, guys. You ever gone to a website where you looked at a blog post and it was really good, but it was like 4 years old, and go, well, is that even relevant today? Right? So this is why when you create a demand gen engine, you have to feed the engine with current content that you can repurpose it. You can repeat it. And we're going to talk about repeatable. But pillar pieces are like your unique point of view, your change of perspective, your use cases, your white papers, could be a website. That's a pillar piece. In fact, your website, we always say in demand generation, your website should be your best salesperson. Even over, if you have salespeople, it should be your best salesperson. Because why? It doesn't work from 9 to 5. It doesn't work. It works 24/7. Salespeople work 9 to 5. Salespeople get weekends off. Your website never does. People, as you know, we're all the same. Do you guys just go search for products and services 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? No, we don't. So it has to be about, and like Mary said, you better make it. This is why we did relatable, so you could build relatables with your face, phone, and finger, because everybody is on their mobile phone. Guys, I'm at a wellness center with my partner, and we did a lot of local advertising and things. Do you know that almost 90% of all of the stuff that came in through mobile phones? And that was 6-7 years ago. 88% of all people in the world on LinkedIn are on mobile devices. They are not on a desktop or laptop like we are here in the United States. So you have to think about that, right? Consumables are interactive video clips, newsletters, your blog posts, Q&A sessions, FAQs. These are all consumables where people are going through in the moment, and it's helping them. It's like Mary said, it's a micro commitment to get them down the pipe on the way they want to get down the pipe, not the way you want to shove it down their throat. See, this is the problem. This is the inherent insidiousness of email marketing. It's a one size fits all, and I'm going to take you through the journey I want to take you through, not the one you want to go through. Right? And this is why email has failed. Okay. I mean, you guys look at the industry open rates and click-through rates. This is why funnels are starting to fail now too. And the reason being is because when you go into a funnel, you're going to have the hell sold out of you. One-time offers, upsells, downsells, all this stuff. Even the guy that did ClickFunnels go, I got to do this because my ad costs are high. Well, there you go. Right. So, I don't want to be the Billy Mays of SaaS software. I just don't. So, so I love Billy Mays. He was a cool guy, and I liked his infomercials, but it's, or QVC, right? QVC is a norepinephrine thing with a countdown timer. Again, there's a hell of a lot of buyer's remorse on those kinds of things. So it's not building that relationship and that trust. That is not what we're talking about here. Okay.
Well, so, something to
go ahead.
Peter, something that you hit on there with the email, and this is something I have got out of the Snow Leopards book as I've been reading, is I sometimes look at email marketing now as that's the legendary volume versus legendary content right? Let's see how much content we can put out, and never really thinking like, well, why don't you try to make your content better and just make those small pieces? And that's where, for me, that was part of the, what I thought about with Relatable is like, wow, I can actually create very specific content that, I don't necessarily need it to go viral, but it's going to share my point of view. It's going to give people that choice of, what do they want to really know more about? Because I don't necessarily know where they are when they come into the, into that video engagement with me. So I think, to your point, success is having 20% of, 1,000 people open an email and 3% click on your link. But did anybody actually convert? No, but we act like it is somehow. That's a great thing.
Yeah, I agree, Jim.
Can I say something too? I'm sorry, because we talk about this, especially when you talked about stats, Jim. Word of mouth is really what we are promoting. That's what being relatable is about, because people are going to talk about you. They're going to research you on their own. You can't necessarily track that. You can't necessarily track the dark social engagements. So you have to just post with that intent. You have to create content with that intent, consumables, websites, all of it with that intent to be invited into the buyer's journey. Because part of that buyer's journey is going to be asking their friends, not just looking at testimonials somewhere, but actually asking the people they trust already, to see if they can trust you. And that's very hard to track. That's very hard to quantify.
Well, Mary, I'm glad you brought that up, because for all you guys here live today and coming up in the future, in our product roadmap, I have figured out a way to track dark social, and we are going to do it in Relatable, and you're going to be able to do word of mouth, and you're going to be able to get analytics on it. Hopefully we'll be first in the world to do that.
Yes.
But I have figured out a way to do it. So, because Mary, you're right. Dark social, we're going to get it. That's part of the, how do you, down the road, in our live series, we're going to talk about word of mouth, and, as part of the customer turning them into fan, right? How do you do that? And we have a way to do it inside Relatable. And by the way, in Relatable, you can send them right in their phone contacts. They can share the Relatable they're watching or another Relatable, and they're sending it out to all their friends. And we open things from people we know, like, and trust. And by the way, that costs you absolutely zero. It will cost you nothing to build your audience that way. And it's coming from somebody that they trust, right? So the other fact about that, if you look at some of the dark social, if you looked it up, dark social is not dark web, so don't be afraid. Dark social, up to 80% of all content sharing and private recommendations of products and services are now done through dark social, like Mary was talking about. So it's significant, and it's something I want to be able to provide for all you guys but within the context of relationship building, right? Because you share stuff with other people because you believe in the product and you believe in the people behind the product, even more importantly, right? And so I want, you guys are all doing really cool things, great things within your businesses. The key thing is, how do we get that out between people, right? And that's the dark social aspect. Okay. Going back to content. So the other thing about this, like Mary said, 66 touches or whatever number it is. I mean, you can say you believe it or don't believe it. That's Gardner, but I just say you got to be repetitive. And because here's the thing. First of all, here's a good example. Some of you guys are coming in. What is this? Our third or fourth live series, Jim?
Fourth, yeah.
Some of you guys are seeing us for the very first time. So you're going, wow, what is all this stuff about? Who are these guys that are talking about this demand gen thing, right? And it probably is resonating with you, but you haven't heard our message before. I'm sure Mary and Jim get this. I get it all the time on LinkedIn. It's like, man, this thing really resonates with me. I follow you, and I've been watching your, listening to your posts and watching your relatable videos and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, this makes a lot of sense. Never met them in my life, right? So again, that's the other thing about demand gen. It creates a pull effect. It's like a vacuum versus lead gen. You're pushing. You're constantly pushing, But repetition is good. Now, just guys, so you understand the importance of repetition. So we're all on LinkedIn, or if you're not, you should be, even if you're B2C, because LinkedIn is still a Wild West, and there's still a ton of opportunity on LinkedIn. But just to give you an idea about average reach, so I have 14,500 connections on LinkedIn. So if you sit in that 5 to 10,000, you get about, of your connections, 3% by the algorithm are going to actually see it. I'm in the 10 to 50, so it's 2.96. So it's about 400 people out of my 14,500 actually see my posts. And then you got all the monkey business, which even if you turn on your bell, I know Jim has told me, I don't see your posts sometimes. I even have your notification bell on. So who in the hell knows what this algorithm is doing? And this is not, I'm not picking on LinkedIn. It's true for Instagram, TikTok, all of them, right? I mean, people now on TikTok are complaining. It's like, wait a second. All of a sudden, TikTok is showing me stuff from a month ago. I'm not getting any current stuff. What's going on here? It's a manipulated, video platform. Yeah. So as long as you know that going into it, right? The repetition too, guys, think of it like this. You guys, this is the way I look at it anyway. You guys ever had a song that you really like and you're driving down the road and all of a sudden that song pops into your head and it plays over and over and over again. You can't stop it. You guys shake your head. It's true. We all have that. That's called an earworm. You can look it up on, there's a neuroscience aspect to that. It's called a limbic loop. We're not going to get into all that stuff. If you guys want to know about that, I'll explain it to you outside of this thing. But you have to have that repetition. If you could get to be an earworm, man, would that be powerful, right? Now, how have we done that in the past? Well, before the internet, we had radio and TV, and we pummeled people with ads over and over and over and over again to try to create that earworm, right? Or that eyeworm. But, the thing about it is you have to do your content in a repetitive way. And the neat thing about it is you can take your content and you can break it up into all kinds of, like, look, Mary was talking about that. If I do a relatable, I do an interactive video. I could take that. I have a script. I could turn it into a post. I could expand it into an article. I could do a blog post. I can take that and make it an audio. Same thing with podcast, shows. If you're on a podcast show, you can repurpose all this stuff in many different ways. Because you got to remember, right? While relatable is a powerful tool, and we are seeing our people in our partner program getting massive results, it is one channel. Look, we're on StreamYard and Riverside. I like them both. Jim introduced me to StreamYard. Mary introduced me to Riverside. Live stuff, you should do it. I'm going to do more of the live. I think it's a good way to build, because remember, video builds familiarity. Familiarity, now with relatable, you can nurture, but even with familiarity, it does build some sense of trust. Okay. We take it a whole mile further where we're doing engagement, re-engagement, nurturing, and all that stuff to really build relationships. The only thing that's better, in my opinion, than relatable is being there in person to that person. Because think about it. You wouldn't have a significant other and just talk to them through relatable. Again, that's Chris is stupid. So, but we can be a coffee chat to 100,000 people at a time to build those relationships over time, and to talk to people on the camera where they can see us and see all the hand waving and all that kind of, but it builds familiarity. Okay. So just the thing about it is, we have a strategy. We're using certain tools, which definitely we eat our own dog food. We use relatable. And you'll see my posts. Mary does them. Jim does them. Jim's got one. If you haven't seen it, you should go to, or maybe Jim, you should put a link into your affiliate one, because he's got a really cool one. It talks about the affiliate program and the money you can make and things like that. But, here's the thing. I talked to Jim about this. I think making money is cool, but creating positive impact for businesses is way cooler. And if you're an affiliate, it's not just a money-making endeavor. I'm slapping this out. What is that? ClickBank or whatever it's called, Jim? Is that the?
Yes. ClickBank, right.
Yeah, we're yeah, we could put the thing up on ClickBank. That's great. So it can get out there and reach the masses. But it's not about that. It's about, as affiliates or people who use this and recommend it to others, you're doing it because you go, man, I use this thing. It really works. I can interact with people. I can engage. I can build relationships. I believe in this thing 100%. It's because of the impact it had on you, you can share that impact with others. The money will come, right? But it's more important about that impact, right? And that's impact in motion, community in motion creates movement. And so that's what we're trying to do here. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, let's get into content, because here's the thing. Mary has a podcast. Jim, I think you have a podcast, don't
Yep.
you? Okay. I don't have a podcast yet. We're going to get one for Relatable. So this is part of our demand gen strategy. And again, we're adding, we're not sitting here going, hey, we arrived and we know everything there is to know, because we don't. First of all, if you follow Christopher Lockhead and play bigger in category pirates, the worst thing you ever want to be is an expert. Don't be an expert, because if you're an expert, you have filters on and you're filtering out what else is possible. So be careful on that one.
And you're living in the past.
Yeah, living in the past. That's a good one. So let's talk about video, because, guys, in my opinion, and again, share in the comments or share in our YouTube channel. If you disagree with me, I'd like to know why you do. I don't think there's any medium out there besides video that can do what video can do for building relationships. Now, not just any video would do. So be careful about that, because you see a lot of LinkedIn people up there with these passive videos, just like YouTube, just like TikTok. The problem with that is they're passive. So guess what you get? Passive. These people, they're not committed. They're just watching your stuff. Okay. So that's good. That's good video. Great video is interactive video, or better video is interactive video. Great video is interactive video that builds relationships. And that's why we did what we did with Relatable. But, we run into a lot of people. In fact, it's funny because, and Mary, you can talk to this too here in a second. I just want to share my opinion. I want to hear what you have to say, because you talk to a lot of people in our partner program. It's funny how people our age, I even did it too, guys. I created Relatable. And then I'm going, okay, now I'm going to use this. I'm really super excited. And then I get in front of the teleprompter and I go, what do I say? Right? It's like, I know for analogs, we freeze up. But now it's kind of like riding a bike with training wheels. You started, now I just pop off. I go outside. I'll talk about anything. I'll be on video. Guys, look, I think all three of us, Mary, Jim, and I, we've all done speeches, keynote speeches, all this stuff. I can get up. I can talk about anything off the top of my head. But for some reason, when I see that green button on the camera, I'm going, what do I do? Right. So, the key thing, this came from actually, and I like the guy. He does a lot of passive video. His name is Danny Delvecchio. You can look him up on LinkedIn I'm giving him a shout out. But the thing is, he talks about, hey, here's some. Now he's the other side. He's a native digital. These people, if you're younger, hey, good for you. You were born with a phone in your hand. You were born with video. You were born with the internet. You don't know a time when there was corded phones and, sneaking around to the other side to get some privacy, kind of thing. But, so video for you is, we have people in our partner programs go, yeah, I'm just going to go do it. I think, Jason, you're probably one of them. I don't know what your age is, but you certainly act like a native digital, because you're like, damn, I'm just going to do this. And I'm just talking. And you're really good on camera, by the way, Jason. But, first of all, to make it easy, think about when you're on video, don't think about all the people that are watching it. Talk to a person of one,
Mm-hmm.
You can, I always, some people say that, in speaking training and Toastmasters, it's like, when you're up on stage, just think about that one person you're talking to. Don't think about all the people in the audience, because you'll freak out and you'll probably throw up on stage. Which is not good. So talk to the person one. Keep, the other thing too is, here's what I do. Now I use Keep. I have an Android phone. You iPhoners, I don't, you have something like that, but keep a list of ideas. I'm always jotting things down when I'm running or I'm listening to something, I go, that's a great idea for a relatable interactive video. So just keep a list. I use Notepad++, and I have all kinds of post ideas that I have in there, which I'm going to eventually get to turn into posts, right, as things pop up. When you do it too, minimize distractions. Wherever you're at, try, if at least when you're starting out. I probably wouldn't recommend, if you live in New York City, don't go down to Manhattan on 7th Street and go, hey, let's do a relatable video with all these people running around, because it'll probably just be too much. So I started on my desk. If you guys look over there, you can see I have a little studio here, but now I have a gimbal and now I can walk around and do things. And I think it's like super cool. The other thing too is don't try for perfection. That's the other thing too, guys. And again, this is my opinion, but I'm sick and tired of filters. I'm sick and tired. I mean, when people turn their filters off, I go, wow, that's what they look like. If you're going to be relatable, be authentic, be transparent. Don't use filters. We don't have filters on our teleprompter. It's you talking to that other person on the other side, that one person that you're imagining. You can do look, sometimes I go into Riverside and I add captions. You can do fancy editing and pre-production if you want to, but you don't have to with relatable. The whole idea of relatable is you talking to your viewers in a way that's authentic and genuine. Okay. So you don't need to do fancy edits. Okay. We want you just to create you, express you, and then make it interactive with our builder. The only thing I would say, because I'm learning this, right? Again, we're all learning together. I'm learning, especially when you go outside, lighting is the key. If I do it the wrong way and the sun's there, nobody can see me on the screen and go like, damn, I got to do it over again, right? I gotta do it. But the key thing is, in relatable with a teleprompter, you look at it, you can play and go, wow, that looks like hell. So you just hit the trash can, delete it, and it pops up again, you re-record. It's just that simple, okay? This is not me saying this is Daniel Vecchio, but one thing he says is smartphone cameras kick ass. And they do. They're really good. I don't care whether you have an iPhone or Android. Jim will tell you this because he does a lot of video. Your phone is unbelievable in the ability it can do. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. Maybe you don't even remember Apollo 11, but your phone has more computing power than all of Apollo 11 that got them to the moon and back. So, you have a device that is incredible in your hand and what you can do with it. And one of the things is relatable videos. Okay. And then the other thing too is, this goes back to my Hurley thing that I posted today. Show up every day, be consistent, post, do a 30-second clip, do a minute clip. We call them clips in relatable. The key thing is just do them, because that's what I found out for me is the more I started doing this, the more I realized, wow, this is not that hard to do. And by the way, we do have Smart Script. If you want to put the training wheels on big time, artificial intelligence, or write you a script with interactive questions, it's in there. We also have manual scripts. So if you want to, do it all and then paste it in there, you can do that. But what I'm talking about is we have a thing called bullet points. Now, you guys, we're all experts in what we know and what we do, or maybe I shouldn't use experts, but we all are knowledgeable in what we are about, right? And so you can just do 3 or 4 little bullet points, turn on the teleprompter, and they're right there. Just speak from them off the top of your head. I do a lot more of that now because I'm really comfortable. I mean, look, I have my notes over here, but this whole hour we're talking off the top of our head pretty much, So because we love what we're doing, we love the passion of it. We resonate with what demand gen can do for you and relatable to really create that predictable stream of potential buyers. And that's what future-proofs your business. So any other comments on video, Mary or Jim? You guys?
Yeah, let me go real quick, Jim, and then you've got a lot, I'm sure. So one thing I'm seeing a lot in our partner program is there are people who are very comfortable being tied to their desktop and laptop with their perfect background or their virtual background and their headset, like they're, I don't know what, a pilot or something. But anyway, so they're very secure, feeling good about that environment. And I'm going to challenge you to get into the future It's actually now, it's not the future, and join all of us who are on our phones. Peter gave statistics about that everybody's viewing things on their phones. Well, why would we be any different? We are doing the same thing. Now, Peter has given us a tool where we can actually create and edit and make interactive our videos on the fly on our phone. We are no longer tied to our computers. If we're in line at Starbucks, in line waiting to pick up our kids, we can actually create these things when the thought hits us on a run. Like Peter said, you don't have to write it down in Evernote. Yeah, you might look sweaty, but guess what? Everybody else is going to relate to that because they get ideas in those situations. Just please don't do it in the shower. Okay. but we all exercise and get ideas, so record it right there.
Yeah.
We can do this. We don't have to wait until we get back to our desk.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the only thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I would just add, yeah. In fact, it's funny, right? Because I didn't realize we're going to hit on some of this, but I just posted an article today. It's on my Substack, it's on my LinkedIn, talking about 3 things you can do to get started if you are afraid of video. Because, like Mary said, what people don't realize is how powerful this is, and so you can see right there. That's my relatable opened up on my phone. Of course, all the lights are kind of messing up, but I could just start from right there talking to the phone. There's, I use this app called Camo, and what's great about that is I could hit record, and then I can actually set my camera up somewhere else. So it'll record to my desktop if that's what I want to do, because I want to do some editing. And not everybody's going to have to or want to, but the power of that phone, you got a 4K camera in most cases, and you don't need to record in 4K. That's a huge file size-wise. 1080 is just fine. So I think, I didn't do video until I started in, I'll say, April, I think, of 2018, after going to Social Media Marketing World. They were talking about how important Facebook Live was. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm going to show my clients how to do this, I'm going to have to do it. So I'm not someone that grew up, in the movies and doing video. But it also, the beauty of video is it's leaving a legacy, and it just creates that, like Peter says, that, that like, know, and trust that's really going to help you connect with people in ways that you just can't do with any other medium right now.
No, those are all good things. And, guys, I think, because here's the thing, we're at 57 minutes, and I don't want to do distribution strategy at disservice. Mm-hmm. So we're going to wrap up here with content strategy, because there was a lot of stuff we discussed. Was it 2 weeks from now, Jim?
Yes. Yeah. On Friday the 12th at 12 o'clock Eastern, 9 Pacific.
Okay. Because I really think, here's what I think is going to happen. I think we could spend a whole hour just on distribution strategy between the 3 of us. So we're going to move that out instead of trying to run through it here in 2 minutes. That's not a good thing to do. I really want to dive into it and share, some of the things we suggest, and also some of the things we're doing in distribution strategy there. And part of that is use cases. We're going to talk about some use cases that are pretty cool for Relatable. So, Jim, what's the QR code here?
Yeah, so the QR code, if you scan it, it's going to take you to our website. You can get a 2-week free trial, and then don't forget to follow us over on YouTube, not only to catch up on the shows that you've missed, but we're also putting content out there that shows you how to use Relatable. We're going to keep building a library out there. We'll be putting use cases. We'll probably even put some just examples of how to do video, because there are a lot of things that, everybody's coming from a different point. It's, kind of like when we talk about, the cycle of things is, some people have never done a video, some people are experts. And so everybody needs something different.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Guys, that was great. I guess we're at the top of the hour here. So thank you for everybody attending and everybody watching this replay. Again, if you want to learn more, grab the QR code there, or you can go to our website at home.relatable.pro. Last thing I'm just going to leave you with is, guys, at the end of the day, no matter what we do, it's good to be relatable. And when you be real, you're remembered and you're relatable. And really, that's the whole reason why we wanted to start this movement. So thanks for everybody coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao.